Emily adjusted her blazer and stood outside the towering headquarters of Hartwell Industries. It was her first day, and everyone had warned her about one person, the CEO, Adrian Hartwell. Employees called him the Ice King. He demanded perfection, hated excuses, and had a rulebook thicker than most novels. As the elevator doors opened on the executive floor, Emily accidentally bumped into a tall man carrying a stack of files. Papers scattered across the polished marble floor. "I'm so sorry," she said, kneeling to gather them. The man looked at her with calm, piercing gray eyes. "Rule number 1, he said coldly. "Always watch where you're going." Without another word, he walked away. Emily sighed, embarrassed, only to realize moments later that the man she had bumped into was Adrian Hartwell himself. The entire office fell silent when he entered the morning meeting. "Good morning," he said in a firm voice. "Deadlines are not suggestions. Excellence is the minimum standard here." Everyone nodded nervously. Emily took careful notes, determined not to become another employee who quit after a week. Later that afternoon, she was assigned to organize an important client presentation. She worked tirelessly, double-checking every detail before sending it to Adrian for approval. 10 minutes later, her phone rang. "My office. Now." Her heart pounded. Inside his spacious office, Adrian placed the presentation on his desk. "You missed one figure on slide 12. Emily blinked. It was a tiny formatting mistake she hadn't noticed. "I'm sorry. I'll fix it immediately. I don't accept almost perfect." She expected him to dismiss her, but instead he handed the file back. "You have potential. Don't waste it." Those words surprised her more than the criticism. Over the next few weeks, Emily learned every one of Adrian's strict rules. Arrive 15 minutes early. Never interrupt a meeting. Verify every detail twice. Stay professional at all times. The workload was exhausting, but she refused to quit. One evening, long after everyone had gone home, Adrian noticed a light still on in the office. Emily sat alone, surrounded by reports and empty coffee cups. "You should go home," he said. She smiled weakly. "I will after I finish this report." He looked at the clock. "You've been here for 12 hours. I want to earn this job." For the first time, Adrian's expression softened. "I built this company from nothing," he admitted quietly. "I expected everyone to work as hard as I did." Emily met his eyes. "Hard work inspires people. Fear doesn't." The words hung in the air. No employee had ever spoken to him like that. Instead of getting angry, Adrian simply nodded. As Emily packed her laptop, she noticed something unexpected. Behind the strict rules and cold attitude wasn't a heartless CEO. There was a lonely man carrying the weight of an entire company on his shoulders. And for the first time, Adrian Hartwell wondered if the one employee brave enough to challenge his rules might also be the one person capable of changing his life forever.
The next morning, the atmosphere at Hartwell Industries felt different. Word had quietly spread that Emily had challenged the CEO, and somehow kept her job. Most employees couldn't believe it. As Emily settled at her desk, a message appeared on her computer. CEO's office, 9 a.m. sharp. She took a deep breath and walked to Adrian Hartwell's office. Without looking up from his laptop, Adrian spoke. "You're accompanying me to the Harrison Group meeting this afternoon." Emily blinked in surprise. "Me? I need someone who pays attention to details." She nodded. "I won't disappoint you." During the drive, silence filled the car. Adrian reviewed documents while Emily organized the presentation. Finally, she noticed a mistake in one of the financial reports. "Mr. Hartwell." He looked up. "I think this revenue figure is incorrect." He studied the page, then compared it with another file. She was right. For the first time, a faint smile crossed his face. "Good catch." Those two words meant more to Emily than any formal compliment. At the meeting, the Harrison Group executives asked difficult questions about the company's expansion plans. Adrian answered confidently, but when one executive questioned a market analysis, Emily politely requested permission to explain. Adrian gave a small nod. She calmly presented the supporting research and projected growth data. By the time she finished, every executive in the room was impressed. The deal was signed before they left. Back at the office, the senior managers congratulated Adrian on securing another major contract. One manager whispered, "Your new assistant is exceptional." Adrian glanced toward Emily, who was happily organizing paperwork. "I know," he replied. Over the following weeks, Emily became an important part of his daily routine. She anticipated problems before they happened, reminded him about forgotten appointments, and somehow managed to make the office feel less tense. Employees noticed something unusual. The strict CEO no longer seemed quite so intimidating. One rainy evening, the power suddenly went out across part of the building. Most employees hurried home, but Emily stayed behind to help save important project files. As she searched for emergency flashlights, she heard Adrian's voice. "You should have left." She smiled in the darkness. "So should you." For a brief moment, they laughed together. It was the first genuine laugh Adrian had shared at work in years. Standing beside the office window, watching the rain fall over the city, Adrian spoke quietly. "My father taught me that emotions make leaders weak." Emily looked at him thoughtfully. "I think kindness makes leaders unforgettable." Her words lingered in the silence. Adrian realized that every rule he had created protected the company, but they had also built walls around his own heart. As the office lights flickered back on, their eyes met. Neither of them said another word. But for the first time, the strict CEO wasn't just seeing his most dedicated employee. He was beginning to see the woman who was slowly changing everything he believed about leadership, and perhaps even about love. The success of the Harrison Group deal quickly became the talk of Hartwell Industries. Employees noticed that Adrian Hartwell no longer treated Emily like just another member of the staff. He still expected excellence, but his voice carried a quiet respect whenever he spoke to her. One Monday morning, the board of directors announced a high-stakes project that could expand the company into international markets. If the project failed, Hartwell Industries would lose millions. Adrian gathered his leadership team. "This project has no room for mistakes," he said. "We'll have 30 days to prepare the final proposal." As everyone began discussing strategies, Adrian surprised the room. "Emily will be leading the project coordination." The conference room fell silent. Some senior managers exchanged doubtful looks. Emily had only been with the company for a few months. Many believed she wasn't experienced enough for such a responsibility. After the meeting, one executive approached Adrian. "Sir, are you sure she's the right choice?" Adrian answered without hesitation. "I trust her judgment." Emily overheard the conversation and felt both honored and nervous. She knew this opportunity could define her career, or destroy it. For the next 3 weeks, she worked day and night. She coordinated departments, solved unexpected problems, and motivated exhausted employees to keep moving forward. One evening, Adrian found her asleep at her desk, surrounded by reports and handwritten notes. A blanket from the office lounge rested over her shoulders when she woke up the next morning. She looked around in confusion. On her desk was a simple handwritten note. "Don't sacrifice your health for success. We need your best, not your exhaustion. A.H." Emily smiled. It was the kindest thing Adrian had ever done. The final presentation day arrived. Investors from around the world filled the conference hall. Emily confidently introduced the project before handing the presentation over to Adrian. Everything was going perfectly, until the main presentation screen suddenly went black. The room filled with whispers. Without panicking, Emily stepped forward. Using only printed reports and her knowledge of the project, she continued the presentation from memory. Adrian joined her, explaining the financial strategy while Emily outlined the future expansion plans. Their teamwork impressed everyone in the room. When the presentation ended, the investors stood and applauded. A week later, the company received the official news. Hartwell Industries had secured the international partnership. The entire office celebrated. That evening, Adrian invited Emily to the rooftop terrace overlooking the city skyline. "You've changed this company," he said quietly. Emily shook her head. "We changed it together." Adrian smiled, a genuine smile that no one in the office had ever seen before. "You once told me that fear doesn't inspire people." "I remember." "You were right." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Adrian gently reached for her hand. "I spent years creating rules to protect my company," he admitted. "I never expected someone would come along and teach me that the strongest leaders lead with trust, and the strongest hearts aren't afraid to love." Emily smiled as the city lights sparkled below them. Sometimes, the greatest success wasn't building a billion-dollar company. Sometimes, it was finding the one person brave enough to break every rule that kept your heart closed.